The Sweet Sound of Success show is brought to you by the Mentor Studio. The Mentor Studio is an exclusive mentoring and training program for social influencers, business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and startups, bringing personal development to the underserved around the world. And brought to you by Success Strategists, simple strategies that work to develop your business with flow and ease using proven strategies and the right tactics. This is the Sweet Sound of Success with Sue Wilhite, Success Attraction Expert. Steve Kidd's big heart is what sets him apart. An international best-selling author of multiple books and a third-generation minister, Steve has been coaching business people to success for over 30 years. In fact, Steve actually started selling at 5 years old, one of our earlier entrepreneurial journeys. He hosts a weekly radio show called Thriving Entrepreneur. Steve's life mission is to spotlight amazing, heart-centered people and helping them share their message with the world. Thank you, Steve. Welcome for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here.
Well, it's a lovely exchange. I had a great time on your show, and now I get to return the favor and have another good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for my viewers and watching audience who don't know about the Sweet Sound of Success, the interview format is all about the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell. Now, I'm not doing the whole 16-part cycle because that's a lot. I'm only doing 5 out of those 16. And it's the ordinary beginning, which I always laugh at because no entrepreneur has an ordinary beginning. The call to action, what propelled them into being an entrepreneur. The big hairy monsters that we all get to play with, and entrepreneurs sometimes have a rather unique set of big hairy monsters to deal with. And then 2 things that I think are really important for entrepreneurs, and that is allies, mentors, guides, winds beneath their wings, because no entrepreneur, there's really no such thing as a solopreneur. All entrepreneurs have help. And I want to get the myth busted, the story told that we get helpers just like everybody else. And then finally, the journey home is what Joseph Campbell calls it. And that is how other people in our environment who maybe aren't entrepreneurs deal with us once we've made that magical transformation of accepting some form of payment for a product or service that we have provided. It's a very magical transformation, and not everybody else gets it. So, Steve Kidd, what was your ordinary beginning?
So I'm a third-generation minister. My mother's father was a pastor his whole life. And my dad actually was a minister. He retired just a little more than a year ago now, actually, at 82. So I'm the black sheep of the family in ministry because I've worked mostly in non-church places. I have had some staff positions at church. You mentioned in my bio, I started selling at 5. The thing I discovered very early on was that if you ever want to have any money as a minister, you're going to need to learn how to work another job besides your calling. And I was blessed with the ability and the love for selling and helping people out. And so all the way back then, even though there were times when I can remember when there was literally no food in the house, and we were always taken so good care of by God and the people in the church and stuff. But, some things that a lot of people don't experience, and they were so commonplace to me. I remember the first time I told somebody, they were like, that's not normal, right? And I was like, it isn't? I just thought that's the way it was.
Right. That everybody dealt with not having food on the table on a regular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch. So that sounds like kind of the ordinary beginning, not so ordinary, and one of the big hairy monsters all in one.
Mm.
So what was your call to action besides, putting food on the table? What brought you to going out and selling something?
So, and again, the first time, and then I've done it ever since, I'm 54 now and all the way back to 5. At 5 years old, it's such a cute story. My 2 older brothers are considerably older than me. They're one's 7 and one's 6 years older than me.
Uh-huh.
My parents went out and bought greeting cards and like holiday napkins for them to be able to sell to raise some money. And they tried it a little bit, had no success with it, and went out and got jobs mowing lawns. Little me, I was like, can I do it? And my mom packs up a little bag. She, how it is with your kids. And, that was the early 70s, and I was born in 67. So, world was a little different place than maybe it is now, although it probably wasn't as safe as I thought it was as a kid, but
Right.
and I went out and, they figured I'd be back in a couple of minutes. I came back however long later with an empty bag and a pocket full of money, and I was pretty well hooked. And I've been in sales and entrepreneurship literally ever since.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That is way cool. Good for you, and good for your parents for allowing that to happen. So what were some of the challenges that you encountered in your entrepreneurial journey?
I mean, of course, the biggest one is people don't really understand the way that things are for us are not the way that somebody that's an employee experiences them. It still to this day freaks my mom out, that it's like, did you get your rent page yet? It's like, no, but rent's not due for another couple of weeks. I'm not real, whereas she's more used to a lifestyle where, you're going to get a check on Friday before and you're going to pay it, kind of a thing. That's the most difficult probably of all of it. Probably sidelined with that, wrong word, but whatever, is the concept of people not really seeing spending 8 to 10 to 12 to 15 hours a day in your office, in your house, as you really working. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. As far as they're concerned, if you're not commuting to a job, you're not really working, and therefore you're interruptible, and you can do whatever you want, whenever you want.
When you hear the people ask you when you're going to get a real job, and it's like, well, maybe never. I don't know. I guess with your classification, I guess not at all.
Well, I always tell people, is CEO not a real job? It works for me. So the challenges of making it work and the challenges of dealing with people aside, obviously you've had help. You've had people who've supported you. You've had people who maybe coached or mentored you. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
I have been so blessed with so many amazing people in my life. In 3rd grade, I met the guy that is actually my godfather. My parents are both still alive, but had something happen to them, they would have had guardianship over me. Dr. Donald Joy, he was at that time the professor at Asbury Seminary. And, he's of course long since retired, but somebody that throughout all of my life, anything, life or business that's been going on, I could ask him questions, and he was always there with a helping hand. And there's so many people along the lines with that I've met along the way. And then recently, I have some really amazing friends. I was just actually texting with my friend CC President. CC used to be the international director of sales for Lisa Nichols. After she got married, she left that position, and she's actually now working with her husband's business, her husband, Anthony, president, who I believe was a former football player. And they have a leadership training and they facilitate speakers and business training type of coaches. And talk about somebody that at 2 o'clock in the morning you could actually call and they would get up for. Cece has always been that person, and not just business wise, but even personal stuff. So it's really been amazing. My best friend Craig, we've been through so much together. Oh my gosh. We've worked in a couple of different companies together, both as both independent contractors working kind of side by side type of positions, as well as some where, even though again we were independent contractors, he reported to me, and vice versa. Again, a great friend, another one of those people you could call in the middle of the night, but also it's nice to have somebody that sees things a little differently than what you do. Craig is a very systematic operations type of a person. Although I love spreadsheets, I'm a creative. I've written 11 international bestsellers and written 30 or 40, songs. So I have to get the creative out of me before I can do the systems kind of thing. Whereas he has to get the system stuff out of him before he can do the creative stuff. And so, it's been a real good, he's almost more like a teammate. And then of course I would be remiss without talking about Melissa. She's my, I call her my project manager, my project lead. You could also easily call her executive administrative assistant, because she does, like last week when I was in a summit, she was rescheduling doctor's appointments for me. So, she's just always there, an amazing editor, but also somebody that, has a good insight from that side of things. So like you said, I'm really blessed. There's just, we could go on for hours talking about amazing people I've been blessed to have in my life.
Well, actually, I kind of want to draw that out a little bit. Maybe we don't talk for hours, but one of the things that I see, and I just like to confirm that my guests see this as well, that when you go out into the world and you're being an entrepreneur and you're making your mark, you make connections with people, and no matter how far along the path they may be ahead of you, how many steps above perhaps they may be, they're always willing, the best of them are always willing to reach back and say, oh yeah, here, let me give you a hand up. Let me give you a little tip that will save you. Let me help you with this. Is that your experience too?
Oh, beyond it, so much so. I always refer to it, because we always talk about breakthrough, right? That's one of the buzz phrases in coaching, especially. And I say, the problem is most people don't talk about the breaking or the through, but I love the people that even though they've made it through, they will stand on the shore, as it were, and or even jump back into the swamp if necessary, and show you there's a rock right here to step on. Here's a vine you can grab a hold of to pull yourself, those kind of things. And more than just, and like you said, sometimes it's from shore, often, they just jump back in the muck with you. But, more than being somebody that's up on some kind of lofty summit, talking down at you, and I'm talking about folks, one of my friends, Tom, was literally, because what was it, 2 days ago, as of when we're doing this live, was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Right. Tom is a high-end internet, programmer. He's been intensely involved in computers and programming since way before we had the internet. And on 9/12, on the day after 9/11, he was actually one of the people that the federal government tapped to help them figure out the communications network that was being used on the internet by the terrorists from that, and to have somebody with that level of skill that I don't do a lot of programming anymore, but especially back then I was, you can call and say, Tom, I've tried this code 27,000 different ways and it still isn't working. And he'd be like, and it's always something like a comma out of place or something, but he will just dig down into it with me, and people like that are invaluable in your life. And I don't know anybody that's really successful that doesn't have them. The ones that I know that have been successful that have walked away from stuff like that, it's amazing to see how quickly they start stumbling and falling without others.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's been my experience as well. So you talked a little bit about your mom being a little bit concerned about your entrepreneurial efforts. Is there anybody else, and how do you handle it? How do you respond to them?
So now, just in case my mom listens to this, I want to make sure that I'm clear that my mom is also the most supportive person in my life. But, she worries about all those things moms worry about, like, did you get enough to eat? Are you going to get to live inside? Other people, I have one of my two older brothers, has for most of my adult life, we won't get into stuff when you're kids, most of my adult life, never really understood what I did and often tried to give me advice. I know we all have these people in our life and they mean well. I don't mean anything derogatory about it, but tried to give me advice about things that I was teaching other people how to do, right. And he had just started it, and of course I have two ex-wives. So without going into anything detractive about them, of course, obviously that was issues that I've dealt with. Right. Yes, it does help to have somebody very supportive if you're going to be going down this path. It's almost a requirement. For sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I understand that you've got something that you want to gift to our viewers and listeners. So I'm going to give you my latest international best-selling book. It's called The Ultimate Marketing Tool of a Lifetime. I'm going to give you the link to put into the show notes and stuff because it's blah. So if people just go to that link, all you got to do is just put in your email address and it'll take you right straight to the download for that book. Nothing else involved in it. And it's a full ebook, it's 100 or so pages, but it'll really help you out with really understanding what's really important in marketing. Nice. Thank you very much. I say that on behalf of the viewers and listeners. This is going to be a really important tool. And marketing, I tell people all the time, to be frightened of marketing is almost to be agoraphobic. It's just getting your name out there and getting the word out and telling people what a great thing you've got. What's wrong with that? It's a good thing. Marketing is a good thing. It's a lot of fun if you take it the right way, actually, too. Right. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for being on the show and sharing a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey. I love the section about allies with you. That was really inspiring and wonderful to hear. And so once again, thank you, Steve. You're very welcome. I really appreciated getting to be with you today. Yeah. And thank you to my viewers and listeners on the Sweet Sound of Success.
your dreams for your business. You know what drives me crazy? Really smart business owners denying their talents because they've been taught it has to be hard, because they've been taught that they don't deserve their gifts, that they're not worth anything. They've been taught that their gender means they can't express their genius. I'm Sue Wilhite, and I want you to have access to your genius. I want you to go out and rock the world with your genius. So I created the Call to Action Coaching Program. It's all about getting to the heart of you and what you've got to share with the world to make a profitable business that thrives and allows you to make a difference in the world. Click the link to sign up for the Call to Action Coaching Program today. Don't let your genius go unnoticed.